Preppers, your turn. All right, obviously this is part like 1C of this survivalist or prepper. Which one are you? Okay, I already covered survivalists. Now we're going to talk about preppers. Okay, obviously I've already made the statement that prepping is where you want to be. So I'm going to start this off by talking about what you need to be doing if you're a survivalist and you've decided to become a prepper. Okay. There's a lot of stuff you need to do. There's a lot, but it's not an overwhelming venture. All right, guys, it's not. But the number one thing you need to do is think about your location. All right, prepping is just like being a real estate investor. Location, location, location. If you're in a shitty location right now, you don't want to be prepping there. Okay, you want to be prepping somewhere else, and you need to get your ass to that spot. So that's the first thing you need to think about. You need to think about, if the shit hits the fan, can I stay here? Can I stay here? You know, are you going to have to worry about fires, out of control fires? Are you going to have to worry about possible damage from nuclear exchanges? You know, fallout. You know, you're going to have to consider the Golden Horde. You guys probably know what the Golden Horde is. Jim Rawls talked about it in one of his books. And it's basically the people in the city that realize they're up shit creek without a paddle. And they pack up all their shit and they head to the freaking country. Okay? So are you going to have to worry about the Golden Horde? Like, where I'm at right now, there is no reason for anybody to come down the road. All right? So you got to think about this shit. All right? Location, location, location. You got to think about the growing season where you are, right? You need to really dive deep into whatever spot you're in now, or whatever spot you might pick, or whatever spot you're going to need to relocate to make sure that you can stay there for a long period of time, and you're going to have to deal with the least number of issues, because that's really what you want to do, right? You're trying to prep for hard times. You want to insulate yourself and your family from that, okay, as best as you can. That's what you're going to try to do as a prepper. Okay, then once you have that figured out, once you know the spot, once you have the spot available to you, and even before you have the spot available to you, you need to look at the infrastructure of that location. All right, water, for example. Do you have a source of water that you can use for years to come to grow crops, right? Some of you preppers are like, I'm not going to grow crops. I'm just going to stockpile freaking 10 years of food and 10 years of water. You can do that. You can do that. I don't recommend it. I recommend that you're better off, having a place where you could grow crops, or you can make it happen for year after year after year. All right, because Murphy's Law, guys, is going to bend you over and stick it to you, man, when the shit hits the fan. The more options you have, the better off you're going to be. Okay? So you need to look at the infrastructure like that, like your water. What does it run on? Does it run on power? If you get a grid down scenario, are you screwed anyways? Are you going to go do all this prepping and find out when it comes time to turn on the faucet, there's nothing coming out of it, right? So you got to think about that shit. And also, getting into prepper country, having been a survivalist probably, right? There's a lot of considerations that you probably haven't made. So you really want to start digesting videos and books about getting ready, okay? On the easy side of prepping, what you can do is find yourself a safe place and invest the money in food and water storage, okay? And you really got to think about this like beans, bullets, and Band-Aids, guys. Okay, it's probably the easiest way to think about it. Okay, and if you don't have a ton of money to invest in it, you know what you do is you purchase a lot of dried foods that you use right now. Okay, my wife cooks us a lot of bread in the wintertime, and so it's easy for us to buy like Bob's Red Mill flour bags that are sealed. What the hell was that? big ass bug. All right, and that flour will last for 2 years. Like, that is the shelf life listed by the manufacturer. Now, okay, we could also buy wheat, berries, and grind it ourselves. That's another way to do it, right? But we're buying stuff that we use right now. Okay, so all we do is we buy it, we date it, and rotate through it. So we use the older stuff and we replace it with newer stuff. It's actually gonna help you save money, dudes, because shit's just gonna get more expensive, as I listed in the first video, right? Okay, so that's a good way to get into the food and to not feel like you're really, hurting yourself. Of course, you can always go buy out all this. You can buy a whole shit ton of dried, like freeze-dried food in buckets sealed with Mylar, but that's the shit you're not going to want to touch, So it's a little harder for people to make that jump than it is to actually purchase stuff you have in your pantry right now that's going to have a decent shelf life on it, okay? So look at that. Water storage is really not a difficult thing to get done, okay? Especially if you're going to have a place set up that you'd like a short-term prepper location. Let's say you have four family members, okay, and you need water for 2 years, and you're not going to be growing crops. You're just going to, live on the food you've stored and do some hunting, supplement with some hunting, and have 2 years worth of water. It's not hard to do that calculation, and you're looking at probably, a few $1,000s in water storage tanks to make that happen. It's not hard to pay a guy in a water truck to come out and fill them up. All right, guys? So that's basically going to cover the beans portion, right? Bullets, okay? Here's a bone I'll throw out there for you. A lot of you guys already are, into firearms and have some decent firearm knowledge, okay? But for those of you that do not, in whatever location it is you choose to prep, what you do is you go down to a few of the local hardware stores, okay? You go look at what ammunition they keep on the shelf. And whichever ammunition, so go to 3 of these stores, right? Whichever ammunition can be found in all 3 of those stores is the kind of shit the locals are shooting, all right? It's pretty simple. And it's hard to go wrong with 5.56 and 308 and 9mm because it's military issue and law enforcement uses it as well, along with 12 gauge, okay? But yeah, check out your local hardware stores as well. If you're one of those people that doesn't have a lot of experience, but you're prepping, I'm going to tell you that you're going to want to get a few different things, okay? And people always say, 5 firearms. I'm going to agree with that, but if you get 3, you'll be in a pretty good spot. And what you want, if you have a minimal amount of experience, is, a handgun, probably in 9mm, a 12 gauge shotgun, and a flat shooting local rifle cartridge, okay? And flat shooting because it's a little easier. It takes some margin of error out of it. You don't have to invest as much time to be as proficient, okay? So that's going to take, and then bullets, obviously, you have to store up enough ammunition to realistically be able to hunt for the couple years you're there, and enough to be able to take with you when you finally have to leave and go find a different spot, okay? And this is if you're the 2-year prepper, okay, guys? So, and then obviously Band-Aids, right? Medical equipment, medical gear, for first aid and shit like that. Pretty self-explanatory. You can get yourself a fully equipped Dynamed bag. They can be a little on the pricey side, but you can also look at the contents and you can put one together yourself. When my wife and I took off and began homesteading on our remote property, we had a child that was extremely accident prone, okay? So I actually put together a Dynamed bag just for him, of course, for the rest of us as well. But, I was, very, very, very careful about what I put in that bag because the hospital was an hour away, all right? Okay, so let's get into you preppers that have been doing this for a while, all right? You guys probably have the huge majority of this sorted out. What I am going to tell you is you need to knock the dust off of it too. All right? It is time to look at everything again. It is time to go back, make sure that your calculations regarding food were correct, water, fuel, all that shit. Go back, do another tally. If you don't already have everything in an Excel spreadsheet, go back through, look through it, find out what you're missing, and make a plan to get it. Okay? I also want to challenge you preppers to get out in the field more. Knock the dust off your pack and your field shit. Okay? Get out there, start using your kit again, because Murphy's Law, and it wouldn't take a lot to upset your plans. And you could very well do all this prepping and end up being a survivalist in the end of it. All right? Security. You guys need to take another look at your security. Make sure you got plans for it. Make sure you're part of a group as well, right? Because you need people to pull security. There's going to be security concerns, guys. I'm going to get into it, and I'm going to get into specifics about when you're at 100%, when you're at 30%, when you're at 10%, all this shit, okay? But take a look at your security. What are your biggest concerns? Where are threats most likely to come from? If you were a freaking Navy SEAL, all right, how would you attack yourself? All right, so think that shit through, guys. Look at everything, man. Look at all of it, okay? And make sure your group is looking at all of their shit, okay? Make sure they're knocking the dust off of it too, man, all right? And reconsidering their provisions and their plan and all that, You guys might even need to, add some caches. It's as a prepper, it's not going to hurt to have a cache. You get pushed out of your place, right? Like I said, Murphy's Law, man. I also want to challenge you preppers in a couple of other ways here, okay? Way number one is that I want you to challenge yourself to get into an avenue of prepping you haven't done, all right? And what I mean by that is, let's say you've stored a reasonable amount of ammunition and you've got some firearms, but you haven't gotten into reloading yet, okay? Or you haven't gotten into black powder, okay? Or you haven't played with that stuff. Or you haven't gotten into archery, okay? Or addles, like pick something, you know what I'm saying? Like, come up with something new and go try something new out, get involved in it, and add that skill to your skill set. And when you have that one figured out to a degree, add another one. Okay, so that's one way in which I want to challenge you. The second way I want to challenge you is I want to ask you to think about the future. And I want you to think about what you can do during these hard times to help other Americans out. All right, there's a lot of people that aren't prepping and aren't survivalists that are good people and have, a knowledge that's worth keeping around. Maybe they don't even have that, but they're good people, guys. And you know what? A lot of you preppers are going to have to be the leaders to rebuild this country and get it back on track. All right? And so I want you to think about that. I want you to think about what you can do. Am I telling you to open your gates to everyone that comes up the road and begs for food? I'm not telling you to do that. Okay? But I'm telling you to consider how you're going to deal with those people and how you're going to do it without losing your humanity. All right? Because this shit is going to bring out the best and worst in all of us. Okay? And save the worst for the worst people, okay? But give good people your best. All right, guys? I think that about wraps it up, I hope that helped, some of you that are thinking about getting into prepping. I hope that helped give you some beginning direction. And I hope that that you guys that have been prepping for a long time, I'm sure you see it's coming. It's coming in hot. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, I hate to give a time frame, guys, because you know how that is. Once I say it, it's not going to happen. But I'm thinking by 2025, we're going to be knee deep in the shit, but in the next 5 years. All right? 2025 is not far away. It's not far at all. Okay? So, yeah, knock the dust off that shit. You know, go through it, look at everything again. Okay? And make sure that your shit doesn't stink. That's it, guys. I'm going to wrap it up. I hope it helps somebody out, you know, especially you guys that are thinking about becoming preppers. It's not hard. It is a financial investment, okay? But, dude, you can't lose right now. Like I've been saying, you can't lose, man. You're only going to win by doing it, all right? I tell people on my TikTok, I got guys that are like, this shit's never going to happen, man. And I'm like, you know what? I hope you're right, okay? Because if you're right, we're both golden. And I win. Because I'm buying food and shit while it's cheap. So I'm still going to win over you. But if you're wrong and I'm right, you're screwed. And I'm golden. You can't lose being a prepper. All right? So there you guys go. All right, I'll finally wrap it now. Okay? Yeah, like, share, subscribe. Please consider supporting the channel and becoming a patron. I've been having some trouble on my Patreon. I've done a lot of video posts that are supposed to be for paid patrons only, and everybody can see that shit for some reason. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I contacted them in support. But going forward, I'm going to have it figured out, and there's going to be patron-only information on there. I'm considering doing a monthly live video chat with paid patrons, you know, so you guys can actually hit me up and pick my brain on shit very specific to your situation, okay? And I have all kinds of other crazy-ass plans. So just go follow me on there, even if you're not paid, and because there's all kinds of content on there that you can get. All right, dudes? That's it. I'll let you guys go. See you in the next one.